in the amount of years that I've had my school, I've always considered it kind of like a laboratory, you know, a place of observation, not just teaching, but observing things. And the amount of years that I've had them, over 3 decades, is I've had enough time to observe certain patterns and, you know, fads that have come in and out. And my generation, being first generation of immigrants born here, has also seen quite a bit. And there's been a lot of scary trends that have come out over the years, but nothing as scary as what I'm seeing now, you know. And I thought I'd share my thoughts with you on this because it's very concerning, and it should be concerning for everybody, parents and society in general, because basically that's where we're headed for. You know, we are where we are today because we've allowed ourselves to be in this position. They've offered us, you know, the drug of our choice, and we've taken it and we've indulged in it, and we've become addicted to it. And because we become addicted to it, now they're just supplying us with it. There's a lot of very nasty addictions out there, but one that is very subtle but kills generations, almost kind of like, you know, substantiates itself and roots itself into the generation and kills off entire generations over a period of time. That type of a drug is the type that is super subtle. You almost don't see it coming in. And this is what we have now with cell phones. You think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm not over dramatizing stuff. You know, and I'll tell you why. It's a big talk on cell phones, but I wanted to get into just certain very worrying things, specific things. Not the radiation part. That's covered, and a ton of people have done that. But you know, the thing of what it has done to a person in general, what cell phone addiction will do to you, and this is why society is where we are today. Now, you know, some might say I'm over dramatizing stuff, but if you take a good look around you, I don't think there's an over dramatization of what I'm saying. You know, you drive by bus stops, you're in restaurants, everybody's head down on their cell phones, right? Now, I'm going to get to my point for a second. I just want to set the stage. So you'll see it everywhere we go. I mean, families at dinner tables are sitting and looking down at their phone. People in business conferences are looking at their phone. You're in clubs, people are looking at their phone, selfies with the phone, pictures, this, that. Then you ask why our generation, or this generation, and it includes even the adults too that have allowed themselves to get there, why this generation is anxiety filled, over medicated, over stimulated in terms of alcohol, promiscuity, weed, and other drugs, to try to ease whatever pain that is. Now, there's many reasons for some of the drugs and stuff, whatever, I totally get it, but the effects a cell phone has on people, especially from kids growing up into teenagers, it already substantiates, you know, their brains are very, very, very fragile. Physically, very fragile. Psychologically, even more fragile. What they get from the time they're born up until about 7, 8 years old is then, you know, rooted in them, and then it's carried on into their later years. Now they play on those. Now they reinforce whatever they've learned during that time. Well, here's the problem. And you ask, why are 8, 9, 10-year-old kids panic-stricken? Panic attacks. I remember having panic attacks. My generation didn't have panic attacks. And we were in a brutal time. You know, throughout history, there's been many brutal times. History has been brutal. But our time over here, in this country, in this city, first generation, let's say Greeks, for example, a first generation of anybody here, it was pretty brutal that time, growing up in the 70s, 80s, because, everybody was fighting for a stake in, a stake in a claim in their territory and, in their lives and in their space. Groups, gangs, individuals. Everybody was mano a mano back then. You had a hierarchy happening up at school. You knew who the top dog was. There was always there's always somebody stirring shit. But we went home and that was it. We left it at school. It stayed at school, and we only dealt with it afterwards when we went back to school again. But we went back home. We played because we didn't carry it back home, unless it lived next to you. And even then, it was solved, finished. It was done. Whatever that problem was, it was done. It wasn't carried on through. Today, what we're seeing, and we know this, we know kids having problems, and then they at school, and then they hear it through the internet. And even in elementary kids now are starting to hear their rumors through the internet. She said that, he said this, she said that, and that causes them serious mental and emotional grief. Then you have a teen, then they grow into teenagers, and now they're taking it, now it's like widespread, the bullying or the taunting and making fun of, which you can consider bullying. That it's only bullying because people allow it to take place. And now we have a generation of kids that are highly medicated, sometimes over-medicated, depressed, anxiety-filled, panic attack, cases that are through the roof. We're talking about the majority of them are in elementary school. They haven't even reached high school yet. How do you think they're going to respond when things actually start getting tougher in high school? It becomes 100 times worse. Because they have not been able to deal with whatever had been stirring up inside of them while they were in elementary school. Now, a lot of us are at fault. I thank God my kids didn't grow up in the smartphone era. I thank God for that. I feel sorry for those parents that, are raising their kids now through the cell phone era, the smartphone era. And, while it's easy to say, well, I control how much time my kid spends on and who they spend it on, that's fine. But it still doesn't negate the fact that they become more and more dependent on that, and their form of communication, of cellular communication through texting, becomes augments greater than that of him being able to socialize better. I was sitting at a party one day, and it's a whole bunch of kids. My time, kids were out there fighting and doing all sorts of stuff with swords, and girls playing with their dolls and whatever, and blabbing and whatever they were blabbing about, and we were doing our own stuff. Now we see a bunch of kids around one kid with a cell phone looking at a game. Parents are okay with this. Parents should not be okay with this, because they're all zoned in on that. That's just a game. As opposed to them being out there playing, they're zoned in on this. They're not being social. They're not being active physically. They're not even being mentally active, where they can build stuff together or create stuff with their imagination, whatever it is. Could be stupid stuff, but they're not doing it. And that's a problem. Here's another problem. And this is a huge problem, because kids communicate with their friends at school, elementary school and stuff. Kids should not be communicating with their friends through constant texting or on a kid's messenger after school. They should see each other face to face. Now, we didn't communicate by phone when we were in elementary school. We communicated on the street to play hockey together, soccer together, or whatever. Or just to play generally together. That's when we communicated. Not, I got home, did my homework, let me talk to John, see what he's doing. Hey, what's up? And this is constant. because when you're communicating, especially when you're saying, you're hearing things, he said, she said this, all this creates anxiety inside. What? He said what? She said what? I never said that. That's not what I meant. And now we have the floodgates opened of an emotional, storm happening on the inside of a child, within their brain and within themselves, and they're wired. I'm driving by bus stops and I see kids with their heads down now, man. It's like insane. Heads down, instead of communicating with each other, heads down, constantly communicating, constantly, or looking on social media. He said, what? She said, oh, she's not back to that shit again. How can a person not be wired when how can a person be relaxed? How can you maintain a sense of peace? People are screaming peace now because they got no peace, and they're looking for peace in the leaves, and then and namaste, and God knows what, in all the wrong places, all because they've basically done this to themselves. And my personal belief is that they've strayed from God, and the minute you stray from God, you're going closer to the other guy, and that creates, the further you are from God, the more void your insides becomes gnawing, and there's a sense of misery that can't be filled, that can't be cured. No drug will cure it, and if you're relying on drugs and stuff like that, anyways, that's another topic. But how can you not be wired all day long and anxious and panic stricken when your body and your brain is rushing with these thoughts and now rewiring itself chemically because of the constant overstimulation of these kids are getting on their phone? And they're not just, it's all, and this is what, distracts them at school. And add in the food that they eat too. Let's put that aside. That's another totally different story too to add. That's for another time. But this is what's causing the majority of the problem, is that these kids are like literally wired all day long. They go into teenagers, and now we have over-emotional teenagers that are like constantly, that need safe spaces. That's because they can't socialize anymore. They can't communicate with anybody. Meaning, communicate not when everything is fine and dandy, but to communicate and disagree with somebody without killing each other. Because they just can't emotionally. They've been so used to doing this. You say, what? Well, let me tell you, how many people have gone on, have been dating people, and their partners were able to communicate better on text than not. And then there's some advocates that say, that's not a bad form of communication because that's their forte. Shut the fuck up. Of course that's a fucking bad form of communication, because that's not communication. Communication is, we meet up, we talk, body language, facial language, depending on the culture also, but we can keep it, you can learn to maintain, a semblance of respect and dignity and order and, mutual respect throughout the conversation or argument or whatever. But you practice that as kids, not as early adults, late teenagers that have not been used to it, and they've been used to this. And then they're home now freaking out because they've not been taught to communicate. They're just on it. And then not only are they on it and miscommunicating with text, but they're constantly on it. Information constantly running through your head. Your brain has become a mill, man. A constant mill of non-stop information processing, and information processing that also becomes emotional, especially when, whether it's politics or something personal or he said, she said, and now all of a sudden it's out of control. You're sitting there going, I can't believe she said this. I can't believe she believed him. This is non-stop. And then I'm going through Facebook sometimes, and aside from the stupidities I put on Facebook, I don't really put, and something when I do put, other than stupidities, I put some serious stuff. Sometimes it's theological, it's about Christ, and other times it's about, some of the real nasty politics that is being played out there, which most people will consider conspiracy, but it's only a conspiracy because you haven't done your homework. So anyways, that's another story. So the thing is, from this perspective, is that Now, what we have is we have overstimulated, over-medicated individuals, and these are the ones that are going to be ruling the nations in the future. Well, actually, the ones ruling the nations are going to be these people put up there by the bigger people. But this is what is going on now. People can't communicate as well socially anymore because face to face, because they've been so used to doing this. This is something that, university experiments and papers have been based on, and they know this for a fact. And you have kids that are growing up so wired at the pharmaceutical industry and, are basing their narratives and everything else in the media. You hear shit in the media, especially mainstream media, television commercials and shit like that. You have to consider that everything is a lie. They're all lying and selling you shit and trying to addict you to shit. It's a lie, from food to behavior to the new lifestyle and the rainbow and shit. That's all bullshit. Those are just, this is what they want you to go. They've been teaching and raising your kids, and most of people who don't believe in their, have no cultural traditions left in them anymore, or don't believe in God, it's been the television raising you. And you've been basically raised, and this is what we're allowing our kids to do, is to be, have them raised on pop culture. Not on our culture, pop culture. It's insane. And you ask, why are kids becoming mentally, progressively older and mentally sick, emotionally sick, disturbed? The word is disturbed. They don't allow, they can sleep 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. Most people, I look at Facebook and they're not even sleeping. Sleepless again, like you need to post it. As opposed to posting it, go get some help. Sleepless again, whatchamacallit? There goes my English. No sleep in 5 days. Insomnia. Dude, unless there's action happening, my head, I'm asleep before my head hits the pillow. Unless there's something happening in the bedroom. But if it isn't, it's boom, out. Because I do my prayers, I pray, and then I go to bed. And I sleep. I am looking at these people and I'm going, I can almost understand why. Most of them are on fucking Facebook all day long, social media all day long. Constant, non-stop communication. Non-stop overstimulation. How can it not get to you? How can it not get to you emotionally, mentally, or any other E? How can it not? It's impossible to avoid it because you're constantly wired. The brain is not meant to be able to process this. This is stimulation overdrive, overdose, overload. You're no longer giving a chance for your brain to relax. You're going from the constant, especially those who start off early in the morning. Hey, what's up? Oh, what? She said, I can't talk to you right now. I'm going to work. So I go to work and I'm already anxiety filled. My day just started off bad, and then I'm gonna go back and then continue this, whatever happened this. Very few people are actually, can control that, how much they use their phone. Like I have a little group going. Some people have this one little group. I don't take Facebook serious anymore, and everything else on social platform. I mean, I'm barely on it because I've realized that this can become habitual, and it's also becoming disturbing. It makes me feel a little disturbed, the constant bickering and this and that. Most people wouldn't be able to bicker in front of your face, especially the audacious ones that are like this guy's a loser, she's an idiot, and they see you in front of face to face, and they don't have the same approach anymore, but they don't count anyways. But the thing is, this is what it is. I belong to a little group. We kind of like 2 people, 3 people. We kind of like, talk with each other. All sorts of shit goes on there, and that's it. These are people that understand each other, though, that we know each other, we're friends. Everything else it doesn't affect my life. It doesn't affect me in a negative way. It affects me in a positive way because these are people I like, I love. But when you're talking about being on the phone all day long and on social media all day long and communicating through the phone all day long, you basically eliminate any possibility of you practicing social skills. And this is one of the root causes of why society is where we are today. We have taken this drug in, especially the younger generation, and they're almost being praised by government, as opposed to it being alarming. They're going, oh, this is great, more stuff on the phone and more apps and more this, but not enough communication. But what you do have is over-emotional kids. Over-emotional kids. I'm not saying all of them are like that, but I'd say a vast majority are like that. A huge amount of them are like that. The ones that are involved in sports, constantly trying to perfect themselves, that's a different bunch. And in my school, I make sure I hand it to them when I see them going for their phones. So just to keep them awake, and aware and conscious of what they're doing, because that whatever you do is going to affect your life. And now I'm looking at this generation and I'm going, this is next generation won't be able to speak to each other. So if one piece of advice I can give to the parents is, do not introduce your kids to smartphones or tablets to play the game, because that is an addictive thing. That in itself is addictive. Have them build stuff. Only build stuff. Yeah, but in 1 hour they don't need to know that an hour a day, because that 1 hour they'll scream. It's addictive. It's stimulating. They know what they're doing on the phone. These people that are producing this and building this, they know what they're doing so that they can addict your child. Commercials are not geared for you. They're geared for their kids. That's what they do commercials for. When we used to watch, Bugs Bunny and the rest, the commercials were for us. They wanted to get us emotionally stimulated so we can go to our parents and go, oh, but I want this, but I want this, but I want this. And it worked. Because they have psychologists working on this stuff. So I say to parents, don't let your child get on the phone. I know it sounds harsh today, 2022, yeah. Because they can't even communicate. I'm looking at some kids in my school. They have a hard time communicating. Us, at our time, 5, 6 years old, 7 years old, you should say, fuck off. We were able to communicate. Yeah, sometimes we throw that too. But we were able to communicate. Because that's all we did, is communicate. Yes, we were put in our place, but that was also part of the natural process. And it's not happening today. And that's a big problem. And basically that's what I want to say about this. Is we have kids that are 8, 9, 10 years old that are on medication, stressed, anxiety-filled in this, but we're giving them the tools to get that. As opposed to, and then we're doing the opposite, counter tools. Like martial arts in this, but you're still giving him that. And that's very stimulating. The martial arts is not as stimulating in the beginning because it's just more hard than anything. You have to eliminate that shit from your kid's brain so they can relax and they can appreciate learning to relax. So when they grow as teenagers, they can stay relaxed and more in control of themselves. They can function better, more cognitively as opposed to emotionally. Emotions are there for specific reasons, not to dictate your life like most, people say a word today and they're like emotional because they just can't handle it. They can't process it over here, so they become emotional. That's basically what it is. Anyways, I can go on and on. I've already taken 25 minutes of your time. But all to say that we have a serious problem. Kids should be off cell phones from an early age. Those that are already at the bus stop addicted to it, this is what they're going to learn. Unless somehow they wake up, and they realize this is the main cause of my problem. I'd rather communicate face to face with people, and that's it. And even those parents that go, well, my kids communicate with their cousins through Skype at night. No, they don't need to be on constant communication with people all the time. They need their brains at home to relax. do their activities, their homework, and relax. Not, can I go on Skype with Johnny after? Can I go on Skype with Susie after? Can I go on? No! They need to relax so that they can just take it easy and learn to take it easy. That's it. So, that's all I have to say. Peace out. It's been long enough. Catch you soon.